The AFL team song. The song bellowed before and hopefully after every single game. An extra element to our already unique and exciting sport that sets it even further apart from any other in the world. The team song gives the AFL fans just that little bit of extra connection to their colours and an additional reason to stay in the stands just that little longer after winning a game to sing along in unison with their fellow fans. While the AFL already has that sense of individuality, the team song is something that a lot of other sport codes around the world could learn a thing or two from in order to give their brands just that little bit of extra panache. For example, take a look at the conclusion of an NBA game. Win or lose, both teams seem to lack any real excitement and will be halfway off the court before the buzzer has even sounded to end the game. Another close comparison is soccer. While they don't have individual songs written for fans and players to sing, they have their own versions of team songs sung and chanted before, during, and after the game, maybe at the pub, or maybe at the local punch-up outside the stadium post-match. The NRL do have team songs, yes, but these aren't as publicly focused or made into a spectacle like they are in the AFL. But when and why did this wonderful feature of our game come into play? The why still seems to be a bit of a mystery. It could be simply down to the fact that the sport's christened spiritual home Melbourne turned AFL into the country's sporting religion, at least at first, for everybody west of the Barassi line. It wasn't until the introduction of television that the team's song became the staple of every fixture. Many teams changed their song to move into these new times. So keen the VFL was to make the team song a vital part of the legacy of the game that in 1972, musical group The Fable Singers were commissioned to re-perform all 12 of the VFL songs to ensure the AFL team song was ready for the advancements in new entertainment. The origins of the team song we know and love today vary greatly. The older songs borrow strongly from the culture of the time that they were written, whether that be from stage plays, songs of war, or movies. The authors of AFL team songs borrowed heavily from the zeitgeist of the time the tunes were adopted. Starting the trend was Collingwood. Good Old Collingwood Forever was the first team song to be introduced to our great game, debuting way back in 1906. The song's writer, Tom Nelson, was a Yarraville player who was enticed to participate in Collingwood's tour of Tasmania, the Pies hoping to coax the talent to play for the black and white. On this trip, music and singing were part of the festivities, and Nelson, himself a concert and musical theatre performer, decided to pen a song for the playing group. His song was based on the 1897 American music hall song Goodbye Dolly Gray, which was written during the Spanish-American War but popularised during the Boer War.
Goodbye, Dolly, I must leave you, though it breaks my heart to go.
There was some early competition, but it was Tom Nelson, who went on to play 3 senior games for the Pies, whose song was deemed the best and would go down as the first AFL team song in history. The trend didn't immediately take off. It took around another 6 years for another team to join Collingwood in branding their team with a jolly old ditty, Melbourne joining the party in 1912. It's a Grand Old Flag was their song, which borrows from the George M. Cohen song You're a Grand Old Flag, a song written as a tribute to the flag of the United States of America for his stage play George Washington Jr.
Every heart beats true under red, white and blue, where there's never a boast or brag.
Cohen's original song was so impressive that it is considered one of the most popular marching band songs of all time and has sold over 1 million pieces of sheet music, a veritable viral hit of the time. Who brought the song to the club is unclear, but keen cricketer and Melbourne player Keith Bluey Truscott is said to have penned a second verse to the song in 1940 to celebrate the Demons' premiership wins in 1939 and 26. As mentioned, all of the songs were a sign of the times, but this next one would surely be cancelled by today's standards, and that is the song of the Carlton Blues. Just imagine being in Carlton's surely well-ventilated change rooms before a game in the 1930s. Ernie Walton, a club legend, long retired, walks in and says, "Lads, I have a team song for the ages." With anticipation, you pull up a chair, you listen as Ernie sings the tune, a 45 beat per minute up-tempo fire-starter called Lily of Laguna.
She's my lady love, she is my dove, my baby love.
Lily of Laguna was written in 1896 for a tremendously racist stage play to be performed by white actors in blackface. You could lay the old, well, it was a different time argument on the floor and stand behind it, but it was also considered a little too controversial even back then, and the overtly racist lyrics of the original were changed to a less controversial love ballad, albeit around about a decade after the Blues brought it in as the base for their song. Then you have Kevin Andrews, who in around 1959 wrote Essendon's See the Bombers Fly Up after hearing Jeff Gamble, an Essendon player he was boarding with at the time, humming the titular song from the Australian variety show Keep Your Sunny Side Up, who themselves borrowed the song from the 1929 Janet Gaynor movie that also shared the same name.
Keep your sunny side up, up, hide the side that gets blue.
Kevin recalls Jeff singing See the Bombers Fly Up as the words to the song, and in a stroke of creativity, asked Gamble's father for a pen and paper. In less than an hour, the new Essendon song was complete, and after presenting it to the team, embraced fully by the Bombers faithful. North Melbourne's song, joining the chorus, is one of the most widely used songs of the bunch, with it being near and dear to Victorian hearts. With subtle changes of words to match the team it's used for, the song has been sung for Victoria state football teams, cricket teams, as well as the Kangaroos. There are several notable sections of the song. The hearts to hearts, hands to hands preamble that you hear the boys and girls mumble off after a win is taken from the 1890s stage play Australia by Toso Taylor, a piece that is considered to have extremely strong Victorian heritage. The main part of the song is taken from a Scottish folk song called A Wee Diolch Doris, a song about recreation and having a couple of cups. Those cups we can only assume were mead or ale of some description.
There's a good old Scottish custom that has stood the test of time. It's a custom that's been carried out in every land and clime, where brothers Scott...
The song was taken on by the Kangas at some point in the 1920s, though earlier versions exist without the Diolch and Doris sections. Who penned the lyrics is a bit of a mystery. In 1952, Bill Stephen, Fitzroy Hall of Famer, was enthused by Collingwood and North Melbourne's song, and on an end-of-season trip to Perth, felt the urge to write a song to bring the Fitzroy clan together. On this trip, he and some of his mates got together and watched the cinematic classic Casablanca. During the film, one scene in particular got Bill super jazzed up, and he just knew he had the perfect song to put forth as the right one for the Lions. The scene in question sees the defiant French drown out the Nazis with a rousing rendition of the national anthem, La Marseillaise. Apparently none too impressed by the Lions taking in their national pride as a sports song, the French initially called foul. But after explaining that it was a tribute, the French embassy dropped their concern with a feeling of laissez-faire. Eventually, once the Lions and Brisbane Bears merged to form the Brisbane Lions, the song was kept, accompanied by a few minor tweaks of the lyrics to suit the club's new home. George M. Cohen rears his head again when we look into the song for the Hawthorn Hawks. After You're a Grand Old Flag was taken by Melbourne, another of his musical pieces, The Yankee Doodle Boy, was taken on by the Hawks as the foundation of their tune.
I'm a Yankee Doodle dandy, a Yankee Doodle do or die.
Put together by lawyer Sheik Lander and the Road to Gundagai composer Jack O'Hagan in 1956, the up-tempo ditty was taken from Cohen's musical Little Johnny Jones, a play about a patriotic American jockey competing in England. But what about opera? Can they get a look in? Will any team be brave enough to venture into the music genre created in the 16th century? Well, Perth-born John Watts sure thought so, when he, while playing for the Geelong Cats in 1963, penned lyrics to go along with the song Toreador from Georges Bizet's French opera Carmen. Watts delivered the song with an ultimatum and a cheeky incentive to help the Cats reach the pinnacle of the AFL mountain. The song would only become official and adopted by the Cats if they were to be victorious in their 1963 campaign. Clearly the playing group loved the song, because that same year they hoisted the premiership flag high, and now exists their song, We Are Geelong. Richmond have arguably the best song from this era with their absolute banger, We're from Tigerland. Richmond Football Club committee member Alf Barnett who was disappointed that the Tigers didn't have an official song, expressed his desires to have one written to Jack Malcolmson, a cabaret performer who routinely provided entertainment at the club's pleasant Sunday mornings wind-down events. Malcolmson said he could write a song, to which Barnett agreed to, so long as it was a bouncy one. Enter the 1912 variety show The Ziegfeld Follies, an American Idol of sorts, where only the ladies the aforementioned Ziegfeld fancied would become a featured star on the show. On a trip to King Island, Malcolmson sorted through a swath of different songs to create a shortlist of potential candidates. He decided on a song called Row, Row, Row. While this song was performed by many people, it was made famous by Joy Hodges, who performed a version on The Follies.
And then he'd row, row, row. Way up the river he would row, row, row. A hug he'd give her.
On his flight home from King Island, Malcolmson had finalised the lyrics, and on his return to Punt Road, performed it in front of the club, who deemed it a resounding hit. Keeping with the music hall song theme, the Western Bulldogs, still known as Footscray at the time, took on a World War music hall sea shanty as their song base. Sons of the Sea was an 1897 music hall song written by Felix McLennan in praise of the British military. The Bulldogs established the song circa 1939, but not a lot is known as to who wrote the lyrics for Sons of the Scray, now known as the Sons or Daughters of the West. Taking a look at the original recording of the shanty, there is one line in particular that stands out and says everything one needs to know about why the song was chosen as the inspiration.
But the country boys of the bulldog breed who made old England's name.
Given the original shanty was sung by Arthur Rees all the way through to his death in the 1950s, it would be fair to assume that someone at Bulldogs HQ heard that line and thought, that's it, that's our song. The last of the teams that chose old-time ditties for their song was the Saints, who, circa 1965, took the gospel song When the Saints Go Marching In and changed one line. They changed, Oh Lord, I Want to Be in That Number to Oh How I Want to Be in St Kilda and called it a day. Lazy. Lazy. No wonder no one put their name to it. Though, to be fair, no one really seems to know where the original song came from either, so I suppose that's on brand. The Swans went through a few changes in their song history, but in 1961, the Swans adapted the Notre Dame Victory March from the American University of the same name as their song. In 61, the rights to the Victory March were sought and won by Lynn Lawrence, a South Melbourne Football Club committee member, and Larry Spokes, a recently retired South Melbourne player. The lads got to adjusting the words to suit the Bloods in their quest for a new identity and penned the red and the white. The Swans rolled along with this song until they packed their bags and made the big move to Sydney. With this change, someone thought it would be a really good idea to find a new team song with atrocious results. A bastardised Sydney-focused version of Up There Kazali, called Up There for Sydney, was released and universally panned by everybody. Realising that the change was a shit idea, they reverted back to the red and white not long after. Adelaide came into the competition in 1992 with one thing on their mind: advertising revenue. The first song for the Crows was horrible, utterly horrendous. After taking a few swipes at some of the other avian teams in spoken word, the song begins in earnest.
Here we go, Camry Crows. Here we go, Camry Crows, here we go. We'll be there.
The Crows worked out the song belonged in the toilet pretty quick. Then club CEO Bill Sanders penned some words to a song a bit more befitting of the game. Taking the tune from the US Marine hymn from the halls of Montezuma, he wrote The Pride of South Australia.
We fight our country's battles in the air, on land and sea.
Being the ever-budding businessman, he kept the Camry Crows in the lyrics until they were thankfully replaced by Adelaide Crows, assumedly once the Toyota money had stopped coming in. It was really nice to finally know where the Crows were from. I remember growing up as a kid wondering where Camry was. Nevertheless, the trumpeting, fast-paced and patriotic nature of the Marine hymn is a much better fit for the Crows than their corny first attempt. And finally, we finish up with some originals, or semi-originals. Songs created for some of the newer teams of the competition, starting with the West Coast Eagles in 1987. As the first interstate team to enter the VFL, the original Eagles tune was a bit of an FU to the Victorian clubs. Despite its plodding, pub rock vibes that are divisive amongst fans, songwriter Kevin Peake from prog rock band Sky didn't veil his pot shots at the Vicks.
For years they took the best of us and claimed them for their own.
This anti-Vic sentiment likely solidified the Eagles as Perth's team, allowing all West Aussies to stand in unison and give the middle finger directly at their Victorian counterparts.
West Coast Eagles, and we're here to show you why.
However, the powers that be at the club decided a change was needed and brought in the guy from Birds of Tokyo to ruin everything. The new version, released in 2020, takes a lot of the grunt and muscle out of the theme and has turned it into a vapid, boring song that most fans from other teams mock. We'll stick in the West with the Freo Dockers, and as a Freo boy myself, born and raised, it must be said that I may be a little biased when saying that this song is perfect for the portside town. Ken Walter, who wrote the song, was given a task by an advertising agency that he must base the song on Stravinsky's Song of the Volga Boatman, a Russian folk song. The song is a testament to the working class, which is especially pertinent for Fremantle as the city is founded on its port and fishing industry. Walther recalls the challenges of having to write a catchy tune out of a slow but powerful song. Despite the challenges, he managed to turn it into a worthy AFL team song, despite what the rest of you may think. In 2011, the club voted on whether to keep the original song, tweak the song to be a bit more upbeat and contemporary, or take on a brand new song written by WA stalwarts Eskimo Joe. While the Eskimo Joe song wasn't a bad effort, the members decided that changing the song entirely was a bridge too far, so elected to spruce up the original, which removed the Volga Boatman section, sped up the tempo of the song, and added in some sick guitar riffs. The Port Adelaide team has been through many songs across their history, as if searching for their true identity. For example, the Port Adelaide sample team also used the Notre Dame Victory March, which was adopted by their secretary after he'd heard the South Melbourne Sydney team's song. Simple adjustments from Cheer Cheer the Red and the White to the Black and the White symbolised their black and white prison bar jersey. Needless to say, when Port Adelaide entered the AFL in 1997, they needed to do away with the black and white prison bars as to not anger the Collingwood football gods. While the Pies had dibs in the black and white colours, the Swans also had custody of the Notre Dame Victory March, so a new song would also be required. So in came the teal and silver colours and a brand new song, The Power to Win. The song was written in 1997 by composer and music producer Quentin Ayres, alongside Les Kazmarek, who was a member of the band Orange, who later became Cold Chisel. Writing an original is risky business. Trying to capture some of the traditional tropes of an AFL club song while also standing out is a delicate balance. Enter the Gold Coast Suns and their song, We Are the Sons of the Gold Coast Sky.
We are the sons of the Gold Coast sky. We are one in the red, gold and blue.
In 2010, Roscoe Elliott, a musician from Melbourne, heard about the new club coming into the competition and was keen to leave his mark on the game. So, on his own dime, he put together a demo song and sent it off to a random email on the AFL website. And all this before the team name was even solidified as the Suns. The Suns liked the song, but wanted Roscoe to donate it, which he declined because he felt like he deserved compensation if his song was to be used. There seemed to be very little buy-in from the club over the song, and there was potential buyer's remorse, as they didn't even invite Roscoe to the song launch. The lyrics are generic, the overall sound is pretty bland, but hey, at least there's some fun horns at the start. It is by pure coincidence that the last song to come into the competition is arguably the best in the AFL. Harry Angus, formerly of the Australian band Cat Empire, was tasked with writing the theme "There's a Big, Big Sound" for the Greater Western Sydney Giants when they entered the competition in 2009.
Well, there's a big, big sound from the west of the town. It's the sound of the mighty Giants. Feel the...
Angus, who has a background in old-time jazz, felt like he would be able to write an original song while still composing it to the traditional oompa band style of the AFL theme songs from the past. Angus used the Arabian Riff, or the Snake Charmer song, as his inspiration. There was initial confusion around the song by players, who questioned if the style was a little too outdated. In response, Angus asked the players if they wanted something that would be outdated in 10 years, or that would be timeless. Thankfully, the team stuck with Angus's version and kept what is arguably the best song in the whole competition.